Hello and welcome back to my channel and to part 3, the final part of my journey with chronic illness. In this video, I'll be talking about how illness has impacted my life, the steps I took to get back to work, and how I've started enjoying my life again. So get yourself a tea and let's get started. I realize I've pretty much been unwell for over 10 years now. I've been sick. Illness really took most of my 40s. I didn't have any space in my life for a relationship. And in fact, I even lost friendships out of that because it was hard for me to connect with people. And one particular friend completely dropped me. It was just too much and she just let me go. And I also found that when I was back in Melbourne and reconnecting with some of my Melbourne friends that if they lived on the other side of the city, I couldn't go and see them because I couldn't drive. I couldn't drive very far. I could only drive 5 minutes to the store. One of the things I remember about getting my groceries was that I would get a trolley, a shopping trolley, and I would lean on the trolley and walk around. And one day I was doing that. I was shuffling around with my trolley. I looked around and I saw all these little old ladies and little old men, and they were shuffling along with their trolleys as well. I felt so frail and so fragile. And I realize now that it's taught me so much empathy for people who are elderly because I felt so brittle and so vulnerable. And I used to have to stop and take breaks. And that's one of the gifts that you get from being unwell. You learn empathy and compassion because you've experienced it yourself. And the other thing you learn is to pace your life. So I couldn't do too many things in a day. I maybe could do one thing in that day. So if I had a doctor's appointment, that was all I did that day. If I had grocery shopping to do, that would be a whole other day that I would do that. I actually at one point had a special parking permit because I couldn't walk very far. So I was very fortunate because I had doctors who were excellent. I had the doctor who initially diagnosed me and put my insurance claim in, and I had an excellent GP in Melbourne and an excellent chronic fatigue specialist. He really listened to me. He got me onto treatments that I'd never heard of. He's tried so many different treatments to support me, and he's never given up. And to this day, I still see him. I even saw him last week. He always listens to my symptoms, and he comes up with some solution to try to help me. And then my GP, who got me that parking pass, who filled out forms to get me out of jury service because I wasn't able to do that, or to get me special consideration at university so that I could get extra time on my assignments. So having a great team of people is so important. And I had a naturopath to help me as well, and I had that rehabilitation consultant. So what is my life like now? It's been interesting because I really thought that I would be well and back to normal life by now. But actually, that's not what happened. Up until 2 years ago, I was still quite frail. I was still really struggling. The pressure of university, the stress of study, I think contributed to that, even though I feel like it was the right path for me because I needed something to focus me. I needed a goal to go for, a reason to get better, and uni was that for me. The dream of being a music therapist drove me forward to keep trying protocols, keep working with my body, and keep hoping and believing that I was going to get better. The downside of that was that the stress of study was difficult for me. And one of the things that happens when you have chronic fatigue syndrome is you become super sensitized. I was sensitive to light. I was sensitive to noise. I remember sitting with the dishwasher going, and I was sitting in the lounge room and it was like an open plan, and I couldn't stand the noise of the dishwasher. I was always monitoring my environment for these kind of things, and I was super sensitive to stress. It would just have a massive toll on my body, and my adrenals would just react, and I wouldn't be able to sleep. Finishing study was fantastic because I could then really control my environment, and I was able to start part-time work. The insurer supported me through that process as well, and I've transitioned into part-time work since then. And that's given me the opportunity to pace myself. I don't have the luxury of having term breaks anymore, so It has to be sustainable. So what symptoms do I have now? I have many of the symptoms that I had before. I still have muscular pain. I still have joint pain. I still have memory issues, cognitive issues. I'm still very sensitized to stress. I have digestive issues. I often have a sore throat, which is a challenge as a music therapist because you do a lot of singing. And I still have a real problem with sleep. And if I take care of myself, if I look after myself and I don't push myself too hard, then I can cope and I can manage. And I still have pain medications and supplements that I take. I've gone as natural as I can with those medications, and I'm on really low doses, but I still need those things to cope. Socially, my life is still quite isolated. I am able to do a bit of driving now. I drive to clients and I will drive to social things, but I still really can't tolerate alcohol. I will on occasion, if I go to a restaurant or if it's like Christmas or a birthday or something like that, I will have alcohol, but it really disrupts my body. So it's just an occasional treat for me. And I still have to be really careful with my diet. With my work, I only work in the afternoons. Getting up in the morning is still really hard. I wake up and I don't feel that refreshed. I feel really sluggish and really tired. Being self-employed, I'm able to manage my time and I'm able to build up clients slowly. So I have taken on more clients than I did at the beginning of 2021 when I started working. So life is a lot better, and I'm really grateful that I've had so many resources. I know that I've been privileged. I was able to claim on my insurance, and I had private health cover as well. And a lot of that happened because I'd worked in the corporate world, and you get a lot of those things in your salary packaging. And I was able to take those things with me. And I also had family support as well. In the beginning, I had help with groceries. I had help with being taken to appointments. But the fact that I had this insurance meant that I wasn't a financial burden on my family. And it also meant that I could pay for therapies. 99% of them are not covered by Medicare. You don't get any rebates or refunds for them. So a lot of my income was spent on getting well. And that's been another toll that's happened for me. You know, people at my age are saving for the retirement, but I've had to put all of my resources into getting well. My time, my money, my energy. But still, I have a lot of gratitude. And I realize there are people out there who don't have those resources. They end up not being able to get the treatments that they need and they don't get well. So I feel a lot of gratitude that I've been able to get to this place in my life. I'm still hoping to get better. I've tried just about every treatment that is out there. One of the things that's been interesting is with COVID, there are many more people with chronic fatigue syndrome. So it's really, it's a lot of medical professionals and scientists believe that it's a post-viral syndrome, and that's why you get chronic fatigue syndrome. You get a virus in your body, and then it actually it triggers this chain of events in the body that brings on all these debilitating symptoms. So with COVID, a lot of people are getting chronic fatigue, and I'm hopeful that that will lead to more research. There has been nowhere near enough support from governments and from scientists and the research fields. You know, one of the things that can happen is that you get stigmatized when you have chronic fatigue syndrome. And I felt some shame about it as well, embarrassed that I have this thing, you know, and there is this view out there that it's an imagined illness, psychosomatic, that it's all in your head. But if you've had chronic fatigue, you know that it's not in your head. I was living this amazing life. I was happy. You know, I was thriving and I was really enjoying life. And this was like being hit by a truck. And there was nothing that I could do about it. And my life was taken away from me, the life that I knew. So, you know, it's not something that you imagine. And with COVID, a lot of more people are hearing about it and experiencing it. And it happens to people of all ages as well. So I'm hopeful that there'll be treatments available at some point, and there'll be blood tests that can actually pinpoint the cause and help to lead to treatments and cures. So I don't know what the future holds for me. I keep getting up out of bed every day. One of the reasons why I'm doing this channel is because I am isolated. And, for a long time, I didn't want to tell people that I had this illness. I didn't want people who knew me from the past to know that I was sick. I felt that sense of shame. But now I'm owning it, and it's a fine balance between accepting the limitations, but also striving for greater health. So I still see my doctors and I still do treatments, and I am trying to increase my activities. But I'm also aware that if I go too fast, I might trip myself over and end up with a flare-up. So I don't want that to happen. I don't want to go backwards. So yeah, I think I am happier now. My emotions aren't as all over the place as they used to be. One of the things I also wanted to mention was therapy. When I first came to Melbourne, my GP referred me to a psychologist who specialized in people with chronic illnesses, and she has been amazing. In the beginning, I actually needed help with my morning routine. I couldn't think of how to get ready, what to do, what order to do things in. So she even helped me with, working out when to brush my teeth and when to have a shower and all these really basic things. And she's walked me through the whole process of going back to uni and into my new job. And it's been amazing to have that kind of support. In Australia, we're really lucky. You can get mental health support with government subsidized plan that you go on, and that's been amazing as well. So I encourage you, if you've had this kind of illness, to reach out. There are supports out there, and it's really important to enjoy life along this journey as well. I quickly found foods that I liked that I could still have, and little treats that I could digest, and I really enjoy those. I enjoy my tea, even though it is herbal tea. I can have decaf coffee as well, which is really nice. So I've learned that it's important to get on with life, and I've even done some dating. When I was at uni, I used to do it in the summertime. That was the only time I could manage it. And, I've had to be careful about how I do that and be protective of my health. But I'm living as normal a life as I can, and I'm hopeful that I'll be able to work a little bit more and I'll be able to socialize a little bit more. But being here with you now is giving me a way to connect and to say, hey, this is who I am. This is a story that I've had. I'm sure there are many of you out there who've had similar experiences, and there are resources online as well. There's YouTube channels that talk about chronic fatigue, and I'll leave some information about that in the description if you're interested in following up, because there are people out there who are telling their stories of recovery. Some people recover fully from it. I haven't been as fortunate as that, but I have enjoyed a level of improvement that I'm really grateful for. So thank you very much for listening to my story today. I know it's been a long one. Let me know in the comments if you've had a similar experience with illness, or if you have any questions that you want to ask me. Well, that brings us to the end of this series. If you're enjoying this content, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for further updates. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.